My 11-year-old nephew threw my plate of food on the floor and said, "That's what you get for being a loser." My brother scoffed. "Well done, champ." My parents laughed, so I stopped paying their bills. My name is Andreas. I'm 34 years old, and I work in finance. It's not a glamorous life, but it's stable. Fortunately, I have a good salary. But what they don't know is that for the last 5 years, I have been the financial backbone of my entire family. And when I say entire, I mean it. My parents, my brother Rodrigo, his wife Daniela, and their son Camilo, all depend on me. And as the responsible son, I have been carrying this weight without complaint. It all started when my dad had to retire early due to heart problems. His pension was a pittance. It was barely enough to cover half of their expenses. At first my help was something small, paying for some medications, covering a late electricity bill. But as it happens with these things, the help grew. Soon I was taking care of their house's mortgage, the utilities, the food, the car maintenance, even the gas, everything. My parents lived in a large 4-bedroom house with a garden and a pool, while I rented a modest 1-bedroom apartment that, to be honest, is falling apart. Then there's my brother, Rodrigo. He's 31, studied business administration, worked for a couple of years, and quit because, according to him, he wasn't valued. Since then, it's been one disaster after another. He opened a sports supplement store that went bankrupt, then a betting website that went nowhere, and after that, he tried to be an influencer by posting videos with motivational quotes that nobody watched. He hasn't had a stable job in 2 years. He lives off projects that never materialize, and of course, off my money. Rodrigo is married to Daniela, who is like a female version of him. She spends her time on Instagram taking selfies and expensive clothes that I indirectly pay for, and talking about positive vibes, while I work 12 hours a day to maintain her lifestyle. They have a son, Camilo, who turned 11 yesterday. Camilo is a spoiled child raised to believe the world revolves around him. Rodrigo calls him champ, and has convinced him that he is superior to everyone, including me. Camilo goes to an extremely expensive private school that I also pay for, where he acts like a little tyrant. I spend $600 a month on all of them, more than I spend on myself. I live in a small apartment. I drive a 2015 car that makes a weird noise. I haven't been on vacation in 3 years, and my social life is non-existent because I'm always working to support everyone. And you know what the worst part is? No one ever appreciates it. Not one genuine thank you, Andreas. Not, how are you? Natada. Isn't this too much for you? Nothing. They treat me like it's my obligation, as if I were a human ATM. Rodrigo acts like he deserves my money because they're going through a rough patch. A patch that has now lasted 2 years. My parents see me as the successful son. But they never defend me when Rodrigo or Camilo cross the line. And Camilo, that boy looks at me with contempt. He calls me the loser uncle because I'm not married and don't have kids. With what time or money, Camilo? I'm too busy paying for your school and your toys. Yesterday was Camilo's birthday, and as always, I took care of everything. I rented an event hall, paid for the decorations, the catering, the DJ, everything. It was $3,000 just for the party. I also bought Camilo the mountain bike he wanted, wrapped with a giant bow. I was excited to see him open his gift, even though I knew he probably wouldn't thank me. I arrived late to the party because I had to close an important deal at work. When I entered the hall, the place was full of life. The sun streamed through the windows, illuminating the tables decorated with blue and gold balloons. There were about 50 people, Camilo's friends, family, neighbors, all having fun with the money I had spent. Rodrigo was drunk at 2 in the afternoon, slouched in a chair with a beer, laughing with his friends. He was wearing a loud Hawaiian shirt and shorts, as if he were on a permanent vacation. Daniela was busy taking selfies with the decorations. Camilo was running around with his friends, being loud and rude. My parents were sitting and enjoying themselves, as if they didn't have a single worry in the world. No one greeted me when I arrived. Not even a "Hi, Andreas." I had to go around and greet everyone myself. When I wished Camilo a happy birthday, he looked me up and down and let out a dry, "You're late," before running off. Not a thank you for the party or the bike, nothing. I approached my parents. My mom said, We thought you weren't coming, you're always so busy working. As if it were my fault. My dad just nodded. Rodrigo didn't even get up from his chair. He raised his beer towards me and shouted, "Hey, hey, the millionaire has arrived. Did you bring more cash for the bar?" His friends laughed, and I just stood there feeling like a fool. I decided to ignore him. I went to the buffet, served myself a plate of food, which, by the way, I paid for, and looked for a quiet table at the back of the hall. I was exhausted, hungry, and a little sad. I just wanted to eat in peace and process the fact that once again, no one seemed to notice the effort I had made. I was about to take my first bite, when I saw Camilo. He was in the center of the hall laughing with his friends. Our eyes met for a second, and I swear I saw something in his eyes. Something malicious. He broke away from his friends, and started walking towards me slowly, with that arrogant smirk he always has. My gut told me something bad was about to happen, but I couldn't have imagined how bad. Camilo stood in front of my table, looked me straight in the eye with a contempt that shouldn't exist in an 11-year-old boy, and without a word, he took my plate with both hands, lifted it, and smashed it onto the floor with all his might. The sound of the plate shattering echoed through the hall. The pasta, the chicken, the salad all scattered across the floor. Tomato sauce splattered on my shoes, my pants, the floor around me. I was frozen in shock, staring at the mess, the food I hadn't even had a chance to taste, the plate in pieces. I expected Camilo to be scared, to realize he had gone too far. But no. He just stood there looking at me with an expression of absolute satisfaction. And then in a voice filled with malice, he said, "That's what you get for being a loser." Those words hit me like a punch. This child whom I support, whose school I pay for, whose party I organized, had just intentionally humiliated me, in front of everyone. The hall fell silent. The music was still playing, but the conversation stopped. I felt all eyes on me, judging me, waiting for my reaction. And then, before I could even process what had happened, I heard Rodrigo's voice, loud and clear. "Well done, champ. That's my boy." Rodrigo had gotten up, swaying from the alcohol, clapping with a stupid grin on his face. He walked over to Camilo, put a hand on his shoulder, and hugged him as if he had just won a trophy. "That's how you do it, son. Don't let anyone make you feel less," he said, looking at me defiantly. Camilo's friends laughed. Some of them high-fived him. Daniela, standing to one side, was recording with her phone, laughing as if it were a joke for her social media. But the worst part, what truly broke me, was my parents. They were sitting at the table next to mine. They had seen everything, the plate falling, the insult, Rodrigo celebrating it, and they laughed. My mom with her high-pitched laugh, my dad with a low chuckle. "He's just a child, Andreas," my mom said between laughs, wiping away a tear. "Don't take it so personally. Camilo is excited about his birthday. You know how kids are." "Yeah, son," my dad added, still laughing. "Rodrigo is always joking around with his kids. Don't be so bitter. Learn to laugh at yourself, laugh at myself, at my food on the floor, at my nephew calling me a loser, at my brother celebrating it." The laughter spread through the hall. Rodrigo's friends were clapping and shouting, "Go, champ!" Some guests were whispering and pointing at me. The DJ, clearly uncomfortable, turned the music down, and there I was, sitting with my ruined food, and my dignity in pieces. Something inside me shattered. It wasn't just the plate. It wasn't just the insult. It was the accumulation of years of being treated like an ATM, as the boring one. The one who doesn't know how to have fun, while they live without a care in the world on my money. It was every loan Rodrigo never paid back, every half-hearted thank you, every demand disguised as a favor. I stood up slowly. My legs were trembling, but I forced myself to stand firm. The hall was silent, everyone watching me. I took a deep breath, and looked Camilo in the eyes. In a cold but calm voice I said, "You know what, Camilo? You're right. I am a loser. A loser who pays for your $1,200 a month school, your food, your clothes, your toys, and this $3,000 party. A loser who bought that EOA 800 bicycle you wanted so badly. But that loser just retired." Camilo's smile froze. His eyes widened in confusion, as if he didn't fully understand, but sensed that something had changed. I turned to Rodrigo, who was still grinning like an idiot. Rodrigo, I hope you enjoyed this party. It was the last one I'm paying for. It was also the last month. I'm paying your $500 rent, your $200 in utilities, your $500 in groceries, and your son's school. Starting tomorrow, you are a 31-year-old adult. I hope you act like one. Rodrigo's smile vanished. His face went from amusement to panic. What? Andreas, it's a joke. Don't be like that. He tried to say, it's not a joke, it's reality. For 2 years I have supported you, hoping you would mature, find a job, be a responsible father. But that's not going to happen as long as I keep paying for your life. I said, not raising my voice, but with a firmness I had never used with him before. Then I looked at my parents, who had stopped laughing. My mother's mouth was agape. My father was pale. Mom, Dad, I love you, but starting tomorrow, it's over. No more $850 mortgage, no more $320 in utilities, no more $600 in groceries, no more $280 in medicine, no more $400 for the car. You have a pension. Learn to live on it, or ask your fun son for help. My mother clutched her chest. Andreas, you can't be serious. Your father needs his medicine. We can't live on the pension, she said, trembling. You should have thought about that before you laughed when your grandson humiliated me and your son celebrated it. I replied, I have sacrificed 5 years of my life, me time, my money, my dream, so that you could live comfortably. I've worked 12-hour days, given up vacations, relationships, my own happiness, and all I get in return is mockery. The silence in the hall was absolute. Some guests were recording with their phones, but I didn't care anymore. Enjoy the party. It's paid for, but it's the last thing I'm paying for this family. From tomorrow on, everyone is responsible for their own bills, their own decisions, and their own consequences. I started walking towards the exit. Behind me, chaos erupted. Before I could process it, the chaos I had left behind caught up with me. Rodrigo was the first to react. I saw him in the rearview mirror, running out of the hall, waving his arms and shouting something I couldn't hear. Wait, can we talk? She screamed as she stumbled over her own feet. My dad came out more slowly, a hand on his chest, his face red with emotion. Daniela was behind them, still holding her phone, as if she wanted to record even my departure. I didn't slow down. I didn't look back. I started the car and drove on autopilot to my apartment. When I got there, I collapsed onto the sofa, staring at the peeling paint on my living room wall. My phone was already blowing up. 15 missed calls in the 20 minutes it took me to get home. Rodrigo, my mom, my dad, even my uncle Ernesto, who wasn't even at the party but had already heard about the drama. The messages came in like an avalanche, each one more desperate or manipulative than the last. Rodrigo wrote at 3:45, "Bro, what's wrong with you? You're overreacting." I didn't reply. Then at 4:01, "Okay. Yeah, Camilo went too far, but he's a kid. You're the adult. Be mature." I didn't reply to that either. Then at 6:15, "I'm going to talk to Camilo. I'll tell him to apologize. But you can't just leave us on the street." Scene. Then my mom wrote, "Son, answer, we're worried about you." No response. She kept trying. At 5, "Your father is very upset. His heart can't take this stress. Think about his health." I laughed. And at 7, another message. "You were always the responsible son. Don't disappoint us now." See the pattern. No one said, "Sorry for treating you like dirt." No one acknowledged that they had crossed the line. It was all, "You're overreacting. Be the adult. Think of the family." The family. As if I hadn't thought about them every single day for the last 5 years, while I sacrificed my life to support them. This morning, I woke up with a mix of relief and guilt. I checked my bank account. $4,000. That's all I had after 5 years of working like crazy. I should have had at least $50,000 saved, but I didn't because my money went to my parents' mortgage, Camilo's school, Rodrigo's loans. I was fed up. This morning, I took action. I called the bank and canceled the automatic transfer for my parents' mortgage. The woman at the bank asked me 3 times if I was sure. "Yes, I'm absolutely sure," I replied. Then, I removed my credit card from my parents' and Rodrigo's utility accounts. I ordered a new card so they wouldn't have the number. I called Camilo's school and told them I would no longer be paying the tuition. They informed me that Camilo would be disenrolled at the end of the month. Finally, I blocked everyone's numbers. I needed peace. Update 1. It has been a month since I shared my story, and I have several things to tell you after what happened. I stuck to my decision. I didn't pay another cent. The first few days were tough, filled with guilt and doubt, but my parents came to ask for my forgiveness. They seemed genuinely sorry, so I forgave them, but I told them I would never be their bank again. I said that if they wanted to maintain a parent-child relationship, they needed to find a way to support themselves. Surprisingly, they agreed. They told me they truly loved me, and that their intention was never to humiliate or mock me. I don't know how they did it, but they managed to sell the house before the bank repossessed it and bought a smaller apartment. They paid off the mortgage on their old house with the money from the sale, and they have the rest of their savings for their medicine and living expenses. As for my brother, Rodrigo hit rock bottom. He moved in with my parents because he couldn't pay his rent. Daniela threatened him with divorce if he didn't get a job, and he did. He now works in a factory earning $1,500 a month. It's not much, but it's honest. He complained at first, but now he seems to be accepting it. 2 weeks ago he texted me, "You were right about everything. I was a bad brother and a terrible father. I'm trying to fix it. Thanks for not giving in." I didn't reply, but I saved the message. Camilo sent me a handwritten letter. "I'm sorry for throwing your food. I'm sorry for calling you a loser. My dad explained that you paid for everything and I didn't know. Now, I go to a public school. It's not as nice, but it's okay. I promise to be respectful if you want to see me again." The letter is on my refrigerator. It made me cry. I took a vacation to the beach by myself with no emails or worries. It was glorious. I took out a loan from the bank and bought a 3-bedroom house with a small garden. I started therapy, which helped me understand my codependency. And I met Mariana, an engineer who didn't run away when I told her my story. We're dating, and for the first time in years, I have space for a relationship. My savings account is growing, and I'm investing in my future. I went to my dad's birthday 2 weeks ago. I set conditions. No talking about money. It was strange, but not terrible. My mom has softened. My dad looked healthier. We had dinner, and everything was fine. That night, my dad texted me, "Thanks for coming. I don't expect things to be like they were before, but I hope we can build something new. I love you." I replied, "I love you too, Dad. Let's hope time proves us right." Did I do the right thing? I'm not 100% sure. There are days of guilt, but then, I look at my house. Think about my vacation, see Mariana smile, and watch my savings account grow. I am living. And I see my dad taking responsibility, Rodrigo working, Camilo learning humility. Maybe letting them fall was the best way to help them get up. Sometimes love is saying no more and letting them face the consequences. I don't know if we'll ever be a close-knit family again, but now there is honesty, and that's enough. Last night, sitting with Mariana on my patio, watching my dog Max chase butterflies, I realized I'm happy. It didn't cost me $600 a month. It cost me a plate of food on the floor and the courage to say no more. The best investment of my life. Subscribe for more daily stories.